welcome to Philadelphia Walks PTSD. My name is Sharon Cole, or Sharon, or Cole, whatever you want to refer to me as. No big deal, in a good way. I don't care. As I like to say on here, I've been called rat, pig, horse, squirrel. We'll go with giraffe, even though, that doesn't seem like a derogatory term ever used. Elephant, whatever. Hippo, remember the Hungry Hungry Hippo game? A rhino, whatever. I don't know what those words mean to certain people in certain groups, and everybody has their own definition for like every word in the dictionary. So I've never been part of a major group or gang. I'm kind of a very independent person. I sort of grew up learning how to entertain myself. So it has its pros and cons. It's sort of, we can't always control everything. I can't force people say to marry me or what have you. I was going to drag out the club and sort of beat people down and bring them into, just so I could, populate the world with kids, but I don't know how to do that. So anyway, not that that's a bad thing. I would love to have kids, but it wasn't in the cards for some reason. And now I'm officially mature. Meaning I don't have to buy another feminine tampon or napkin for the rest of my life. And in a way, it works for the budget. So welcome to one video each day, 365 days, donor campaign, seeking money for a life stolen, robbed, beat down, battered, as if I were Jesus or a pariah myself, or if he himself were walking the earth in my body. I don't purport to be that. I'm just saying I was treated like that. And I even had comments from people saying, they use the term Jesus in gang stalking because they know you're being persecuted on some level. They know that it's a major community harassment campaign, if you will. And you can't really prove it. So you have to walk around and take all the shots without engaging law. You really can't. The way that it's designed, you are forced to put up with everyone's bad behavior. So with that said, it's day, and I mean severely bad behavior. It is day 83 on my one video each day, 365-day campaign. And the topic today is who's the boss? Who's the boss? So a lot of this gang stalking is all about extreme control freaks or people who have lost control possibly. And they think somehow they're under the belief that they have to take control and they can impose on a person by invading their space. So it couldn't. So the worst of gang stalking could involve people breaking and entering, which is one of the reasons I might have sort of magically found this place and these people approved me to be here. I have had people turn me down because technically I don't have the best credit report because of a major incident. And even though everything was perfect up until a certain point, it's a thing where if people follow the rules too much to the T, and I guess they don't want to get paid because if you have the money, you have the money, then you don't get approved by those entities. Or there are people who might have made sure I wound up here as opposed to somewhere else where people could potentially more conveniently enter an apartment without, with fewer regulations in place. Here, we even have like a hotel lock and everything so that when I'm here, no one can actually break in. So it is an issue. I did have a few instances in my last apartment where I kind of wondered, and when you rent, the law is that should anyone enter, like a superintendent or the landlord or what have you, should anyone come in to fix anything while you're out, they're supposed to notify you and leave a note or what have you. And but if you are in a lesser or a more loosely organized apartment run by a private person or what have you, they may not follow the rules. I did have instances where like only twice, and I kind of felt lucky that it was only twice when I got into my apartment and thought, was somebody here? Because I even saw a jar of mayonnaise in my refrigerator. It was White Rose, little tiny mayonnaise jar. And I had become a raw vegan foodie. And the only type of mayonnaise I would ever get at that point in time would be like Veganese if I was really like craving something that was more like a comfort food, like have a tofu sandwich or whatever. And I couldn't figure out where the mayonnaise jar came from. And I had to like think in my brain, like, is this a mayonnaise jar from ages ago? And I don't remember it. And somehow it's on the front of the rack. And I wondered if someone had entered my apartment. The thing is, it does concern me because it came up, this whole who's the boss idea, because this whole experience is about other people taking control of your life. Even out on the street, they're trying to push you in this direction, push you in that direction. Everybody has to control the target, and the target never feels in control of his or her own life. In a way, it's, and it's like it's my decision to go down here, but I know there are 5 people who are sort of heavily influencing that decision. And I will say really quick, I did have a therapist who say, we are all heavily influenced. We all have homes because we were heavily influenced to, people who have homes are heavily influenced to buy here or buy there, or we're heavily influenced to buy certain products. What's in your refrigerator? What clothes are you wearing? You were heavily influenced to buy all those. Do you participate in, a sport, cross-country running? Did you become a writer? Did you go on for journalism? Did you become a veterinarian? Whatever. Do you do this? Do you do that? You wouldn't have even had those ideas if we didn't have influences or influencers or advertisements or marketing out there. None of us would even know what to do every day if we didn't have major influencers. So on a higher level, we're all kind of controlled by the programming available to us. We can hopefully pick and choose what we want. But if those things weren't there, then we would just be sitting there. So, but on a more local level or on a dangerous level, it is a concern that people can sort of enter into your home and take over, and have people had to run away, from their places of residence, and sort of escape the idea that people are taking over their lives. And I know in the drug world, people can feel this way, like everything just comes creeping in and all the darkness of all people who are involved in drugs sort of have to take over someone's world. And you get people can get trapped into like a web of darkness, if you will. And all the people who have adopted a lifestyle to survive, there's an argument for each side, but when it gets to the point that people are taking over your home or taking over your life or stepping foot into your home and acting like they're the boss, that's when it becomes technically, on the illegal side. And in addition, I wanted to talk about other things. We sort of cultivate this idea. I'm all about equality. Trust me, I'm a woman, and technically I grew up in a low income-ish household. And I was also always someone who was condescended to. People always like to condescend Sharon. I used to be 179 pounds. I'm 179 and a half pounds, and I'm on the nice side as a person. I don't like to belittle other people or patronize them or condescend them. So anyway, but there are a lot of people who do that because they think that's what gets them ahead. They're in like a corporate mentality. You're supposed to treat everybody like this in order to be the boss. But interestingly, I've had to work in certain places like Whole Foods Market and Starbucks in order to make sure money kept coming in. So I was willing to go technically beneath my qualifications, if you will, for lack of sounding, in the most positive way possible. But I do know that when I worked for specifically Starbucks, it became an issue of who's the boss again? Because we had a bunch of people who barely have lived life. These are people, who are just in college or, out of high school. And they, I know kids think they know everything. Everybody goes through these phases where they think they know everything. They think they're invincible and everything else. Or they think that they're supposed to show off, or they think they're, someone who's like kind of a supervisor is cute, so they want to show off and show that they can be the boss of another person. But that loosely grouped company kind of encourages too much equality to the point where it's like there are people stepping in trying to boss people around, and they're cruising for a bruising. Like people want to smack them in the face, basically. Who's the boss? And everybody thinks they're supposed to like boss other people around, but it's like you're earning the same money as everybody else here on a starting wage or what have you. in certain roles on the floor, not a supervisor, not a key holder, nothing else. And why do you think you're the boss? So anyway, that's a whole other thing. But in gang stalking, the idea of control and people imposing on another space and trying to take over as if they're um, king and queen of the universe, or head gangster. I'm trying to think of the words, because I kind of hung out with a girl who I was in the lesbian community, and she was with her partner at the time, even though they broke up. And even better, her partner even had one of those PT Cruisers and looked like a gangster car. And they sort of adopted this gangster mindset, and it became a thing of like, they adopted these roles in life here. And this would, we're talking 2010, 2011, and we don't do gangster anymore unless you identify with a TV show. But the reality is we don't do gangster any longer. Those mentalities don't actually work any longer. But I noticed this dynamic, and who's the boss? Who's the boss? And then if someone serves the wife role in a lesbian relationship, then she wants to be the boss of other people who aren't in the it's anyway, I'm too educated for this, and it's very low brained for people to behave this way. When you respect other people and you become more highly either educated or aware in life, you don't have to have a formal college education to respect other people's boundaries, to recognize that you're not supposed to take over other people's lives and step onto their property or step into their world and try to take over as if. Meanwhile, you have Ivy League educated people, and they would never do that to you. Okay, so have a nice day, and I'll accept any donations starting today. Thank you.